Are you looking to invest in the short-term rental in Hawaii? On today's video, we're going to show you everything you need to know about buying your first short-term rental in the islands. Hey, what's going on? I'm Hal.
And I'm Christy.
Welcome to today's Hawaii Real Estate Roundup. We are super excited to bring you this episode today. We are going to be talking specifically about a very hot topic that's in seems like everybody's minds here in the islands, and that's short-term rentals. Yes. What do you think about short-term rentals, Christy?
Oh my gosh, I think the amount of calls that I've been getting asking about short-term rentals is massive percentage of the calls that I'm taking every day. People want to know the who, what, where, when, and whys of the short-term rental market here. Exactly.
They want to know, where can I invest? What island can I invest on? What are the rules? Well, in this video, I'm super excited because we actually we put together a nice slide deck with a lot of the details on getting the process started for investing. Because, one of the biggest things that people don't realize that Hawaii, we've been short-term rentals out here for decades. I mean, it's really a large part of the economy. And depending on what island you're on, it really has a lot to, there's a lot of impacts on what the rules are and what you're going to need and how you can run it and all that good stuff. And so what we've done is we've actually taken some time to put together a specific presentation that's going to give you basically everything you need to know about buying a short-term rental in Hawaii. Now, today's video is sponsored by buywaikiki.com, which is an awesome resource for buying a short-term rental in Hawaii. Buywaikiki.com. Actually, I'm going to show it here real quick. Buywaikiki.com. It actually has everything you need to know specifically about the island of Oahu. Not only does it have what buildings and what locations are actually legal to operate a short-term rental, but it also has the listings. So you can actually see specific listings in the specific buildings that you can invest in an Airbnb, in a short-term rental, in a VRBO here in the islands. So check out buywaikiki.com to learn everything you need to know about about buying your first short-term rental in the islands of Hawaii. That's buywaikiki.com. All right, well, good. So enough about our sponsorship. So which island are you going? The first question you're probably going to want to answer is, which island should I invest in? Most folks, when they're investing in an island or investing in an Airbnb in the islands, more than likely they've been here on a vacation, they've stayed in an Airbnb, they've experienced a VRBO on the islands. So they are going to be interested in which island. So we're going to run through them real quick. So obviously we've got the island chain here. We got a little heart on Honolulu. That's where we actually are. And, but let's go, west to east. We'll start in the top left and then move down. So we got Kauai. Kauai is a great island. And by the way, if you haven't seen our video where we outline all the differences in the island, it's a great one to check out because we really talk about all the kind of the differences at the high level from an owner buying a piece of real estate in the islands. But Kauai, from a vacation rental standpoint, we've got spots. We've got the Princeville area up here is a very high demand short-term rental area. You've got Lihui over here. You've got the leeward side over here. There's Barking Sands, and then this community over here south. It's Waimea actually on the west side, and Kauai has got some very particular rules for short-term rentals. We're not going to be talking about them specifically today, but Kauai sort of has its own specific rules for short-term rentals. The next is going to be Maui County. And the reason I did Maui County versus Maui is because Maui County actually encompasses not just the island of Maui, but also Lanai and also Molokai, and also Kaho'olawe, this little guy right down here, but in the bottom center of this slide. But most of your short-term rentals are going to be either in the either in the Kihei region, or they're going to be in like Kaanapali and Lahaina on the west side. Also over on Molokai, you're going to also find us a section over here on the west side of Molokai, where you're going to be able to find your Airbnb kind of short-term rental kind of models there. Now, keep in mind, this video is not specifically talking about about Maui County. We're more going to be covering Oahu specifically because that's where most of the action is in Hawaii and when it comes to short-term rentals. But there are rules that apply for Maui County as well. Next up is the Big Island. The Big Island has got Waikoloa Village up in the northwest. You've got Kona, or Kailua Kona, also known as Kona, down in the center west coast. And then over here on the Hilo side, you've got Hawaiian Paradise Park, Keao, and there's a lot of great properties over there. Big Island also has its own separate kind of process for short-term rentals as well. But what we're primarily talking about today is going to be Oahu and all of the different rules and the regulations that apply to Oahu ownership. And really, we're not going to get into the detail because we're going to show you a resource for that. But what we are going to do is talk about some rules of thumb for investing in a short-term rental. But what are the rules? Well, specifically, the rules are what I want to do is I'm going to share let's see here. So over here in honolulu.gov is if you actually Google honolulu.gov short-term rentals, it will bring you to this site. And this site is actually going to give you all the details, everything that you need to know about the rules. Now, you may remember, Christy, back in October, there was a new change to the rules, and they were trying to bring in these draconian oversights to basically make it a 90-day minimum on short-term rentals.
A lot of people, when they were talking about doing it, investors were getting cold feet about purchasing the short-term rentals and how that was going to negatively impact their business.
Yeah, well, really, it was actually a constitutional issue because the owners that had purchased it under the previous rules, which stood up in 2018, actually were, basically they'd set it a 30-day rule in 2018, and then they wanted to change it. So for all the people that had bought between 2018 and October 2022, they had a constitutional claim because, they were violating their property rights under what they purchased it under. And so fortunately, good sense prevailed. There was a federal judge that basically stayed that order. And the city has said that they're going to challenge it. Whether they're going to actually challenge it or not remains to be seen. As of today, when we're filming this video in February of 2023, we have not seen that order be challenged. But at any rate, honolulu.gov is going to have all of the specific information. And let me see here. So let's go back to here. So basically, that's where you want to go to find all the specific rules. But we're going to kind of cover some high level, what I like to call rules of thumb. So as an investor, as someone that's looking to invest and buy in the islands and have your own piece of paradise, and everybody's got different reasons for buying, right? A lot of people though, Christy, what do you usually hear? People want to buy a place in Hawaii so they can come, spend some time, and then get a little bit of income on the backside. Is that what you see?
That's what I've seen. I've talked to at least 4 people in the last, I'd say 7 days. And they all said, I visited Hawaii, I stayed there, and now I want a place instead of paying somebody else's short-term rental. I want my own, and then I want to be able to generate income when I'm not there.
Yeah. And so we'll have people that want to park some cash, just invest in Hawaii. And so that's why I kind of came up with these rules of thumb, because obviously you're going to need to go through the honolulu.gov website to make sure everything all the P's and Q's are minded, your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed, and all that other good stuff. But we do have, as realtors, I like to just call them rules of thumb. And the rules of thumb are basically just that. It's kind of like, what are the overall things that you should be looking at when you're buying a property, an investment property in the islands. Now, I do want to pause here and just say, I am not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. So this is just a realtor providing his input on things when it comes to buying a property here in the islands. So not to be construed as financial advice. But here's the big thing. Number one, when you're buying a property, at least on Oahu, it has to be in one of the resort zones, or there is an asterisk down below. So where are the resort zones? So let's take a look. So here you can see there are actually 4 resort zones, but really there's 3 resort zones, and then there's one little area on the west side. But those three resort zones are going to be Waikiki, which is the one that most folks know about right here in the center of town, which has all the amazing restaurants and hotels and shops, and it's kind of like the main area where people generally it's the main resort zone of Oahu. Then you can go out west, which is Ko'olina, which is another amazing resort. It's one of my personal favorites. By the way, we have a new team member we're excited to announce, Amy Goucher. She's going to be our Ko'olina specialist. She's a longtime resident of Ko'olina. She's joining the Hawaii Property Advisors team. We are super excited to have her, but she's our Ko'olina expert. And Ko'olina is chef's kiss, luxury. It's got 4 beautiful lagoons. They're man-made lagoons, but they are absolutely amazing. In fact, I should have thrown some pictures up here of Ko'olina, but it's a really nice area. And you can actually find that on buywaikiki.com. You can go down to the Ko'olina section and you can see all of the listings that are available in Ko'olina. And then the other area is on the north shore up here. It's called Turtle Bay, and it's actually Kua'ilima is the actual name of the neighborhood, but it's basically Turtle Bay for all intents and purposes. And then we do have some in Makaha Towers. It's actually not outlined here, but it is actually a legal short-term rental because it's designated a resort zone. And it's only one, actually it's 2 towers, but they're identical and it's the same resort, and it's called the Makaha Towers. So that is the other area where you can invest into a short-term rental on the island of Oahu. And so the other piece that's an important rule is that in addition to having the resort zone, the building also must approve it. So believe it or not, there are actually buildings in Waikiki that may be in the resort zone, but they are not approved by the board. Like for whatever reason, the board has decided they do not allow short-term rentals, and so you cannot buy in that particular building. Let's see what's next. Okay, so another rule of thumb: heavy on the cash. So generally, you're going to need 20% equity or greater. And in fact, all the time, how many times do you get, do you get calls where folks just, they see this super cheap property and they want to buy it, and then they don't realize kind of all the details that are come with, and that's specifically a leasehold. We'll talk about that in a minute, but heavy cash is generally going to be better. And a couple reasons for that is, number one, your debt to, let me rephrase that. Your mortgage, your carrying costs of the property, right? The larger your mortgage, the more you're going to have to pay for principal and interest, taxes, and insurance, right? And so if you have a higher equity stake from the start, that's going to lower that, which means your cash flow burden on a monthly basis is going to be lower the more cash that you put into it. Of course, there's a cost to putting cash into the property, but there's also the benefit of not having that overall heavier cash flow burden. And so as a result, that's why I always recommend heavier cash. At a minimum, you want to come in with 20% of the purchase price. And if you can do all cash, that's even better, because then it's just, you really only have to pay your maintenance fees. And condo association fees or whatever. But here, let's talk about the next one, which is everybody's favorite. This is the one that we get the calls the most of, because, you'll see, sub $100,000 deals. You'll see one for, $80,000 or $90,000 or $150,000 or something like that. And typically, I want to just be the bearer of bad news to those of you that want to buy a $150,000 condo in Waikiki. It can be done, but it must have a cash. Basically, it pretty much has to be cash only. And the reason that is if it's a property that's leasehold, what that means is that the land underneath the property is actually leased to the owners. And if it's a leasehold property, there's one of two things you can do. You can either buy the lease out so that it's a fee. You can buy the fee out, actually, is the fee available. You'll see FA, fee available, which generally is going to be almost equivalent to the market value of that condo if it's in a fee available building. If it's in a building that's what I call diluted, basically what that means is that if there's a building that's leasehold that has 400 units in it, and 200 of them have been bought out, that means that those other 200 more than likely are going to be, not more than likely, they're definitely able to, because that building has been diluted at that point. Right. And by diluted, I mean, they're not going to tear that building down, because now they're going to have to get the approval of 200 fee owners in that building in order for them to do do anything else. And so
Yep.
for those buildings, one of my favorites that's in that category is the Waikiki Beach Towers.
Okay.
I love the Waikiki Beach Tower for that reason, because it does have leasehold in it, but if you bought the fee out, it's an amazing, amazing property. So that's actually easily one of my favorite properties. It's it's not cheap. The fee or the leasehold properties in there go for $800,000 or so for a 2-bedroom. But if that one was to be converted to a fee available property, it's going to be 2 million. That's going to be between 1.2 and 2.1. So somewhere in that range between $1 million and $2 million. But the beauty, it's ocean facing. Literally, there's no obstructions whatsoever. It is the creme de la creme of oceanfront, properties. And so that's one of my favorites for that reason. But the lease is an important component, and a lot of people get attracted by that smaller amount. And then they think, oh, I can buy a property in Hawaii at $150,000. They call their loan officer in Nebraska or wherever. And they say, okay, I got $20,000 down and I want to take a loan out $130,000 and we're going to buy this property. And that's unfortunately with a leasehold property also, typically for Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac underwriting requirements, the lease needs to be 15 years beyond the term of the mortgage. And leasehold properties are gradually going away. And so you're going to have to get a mortgage that's either extends out or that's less than that. And the reason is because the mortgage, the lender is going to have the first lien on that property. But if it's a lease that's, inside of the terms of that mortgage, they're not going to have the first lien. The leaseholder is going to have that first lien. And so that's kind of why it needs to be cash hold only. Now, that being said, it actually can work. And we do have a calculator. Email me and at hal@hpahomes.com or Christy@hpahomes.com. And we can send you our calculator. We do have a calculator that will work for leaseholds, but you need to buy it cash outright. That's the bottom line. So that's a piece on that. And then let's talk about the returns. So another rule of thumb is more beds, better returns. So obviously you can make money on a studio, but if you have a 1-bedroom that you can put 4 or 6 in, if you have a 2-bedroom, you're going to have more. You can put 8 in, that kind of thing. I'm like, the more beds, the better return. And that's kind of just a basic overall kind of point there. But, one of the things about having the beds is that you want to determine sort of what kind of income that you're going to be generating. And I like to say there's really 3 good tools, 2 tools for income, and a 3rd tool that's really good to actually buy a property, that to find those legal properties. And data.rabu.com is going to give you a great resource for finding out what a property can make monthly. You just put the address in there and it's going to tell you pretty good idea of what it's going to be making. And then airdna.co is another one that will tell you, and that one's actually paid, but there's some free elements of it to help you determine how much money you're going to be making on those short-term rentals. And then buywaikiki.com is obviously, if you're looking to invest, buy a property in Hawaii, go to buywaikiki.com and you can see, you don't have to worry about searching because every single property in there is already going to have the ability to rent to short-term rent. So,
That's amazing that they have that tool that they can go to anybody that's watching this so easily and just say, okay, I can see every short-term option that I have there on Oahu. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Buywaikiki.com. So it's a great website. Full transparency, we do actually own buywaikiki.com, so it does go to, but it's a page that I've set up specifically for, because we get so many calls from so many people that I just wanted to make it really easy for anybody that wanted to look for short-term rentals in Hawaii. They can just go to buywaikiki.com and it's going to show everything that they need. So anyway, yeah. All right. Well, hey, any other comments before we look at some properties, Christy?
Okay. So let's run a scenario. Somebody calls and says, hey, I am really interested, had the scenario that we talked about, stayed in Hawaii, what's the first thing that they should do to the first website or getting rules and that kind of thing? What would you advise a client?
Well, if they're calling a realtor, that's a great start. So absolutely call a realtor, because a realtor is going to give you the insight and the knowledge of what you need and guide you sort of along that path. Obviously, as realtors, we are not providing financial advice at all. What we are doing is providing knowledge about the market and skills as far as all of the negotiating and transacting on a property in Hawaii. But I would say, really, I mean, start with Buy Waikiki. I mean, if you go to buywaikiki.com, it's, first of all, it's going to give you the definition of what a short-term rental is. It's going to tell you the difference between a bed and breakfast and a transient vacation rental. It's going to give you some of the advantages, and then it's going to give you the sort of the flow chart of if it's a legal or not legal short-term rental, and then it's going to have all the buildings that have them, and then each one of them, like this is the Bamboo, you just click on it right here, and boom, there's one at 440,000 today, and there's one at 1.4. The Penthouse is available as well, and so those are that's really and that's the best place to start, because literally we've taken the time and looked and combed through every single building that is approved for short-term rentals in Waikiki, actually on all of Oahu. So we have Makaha, and we also have Turtle Bay in here as well. But the Waikiki Grand, it may not have anything. Oh yeah, it does have two. So this one's got one at 420 and one at 380. These actually might be leasehold. No, these are fee simple. Wow, and actually they just dropped the price on this one. So this one's fee simple, 420,000. Nice. So but these are all like I said, that's the Waikiki Grand Hotel. But that would be what I would recommend, Christy. And then the other thing is just you want to talk with a knowledgeable realtor that understands the market, that understands the intricacies and the ins and outs. And then also just want to make sure that have a good understanding of the short-term rentals. So, this website, honolulu.gov, it's the DPP website, is a great resource. One of the other ones that I forgot to mention, I wanted to go back over here. I did, the NUC. So there's what's called a non-conforming use certificate. And actually, if you go to the honolulu.gov page, they actually have taken the time to put together all of the properties that do have the non-conforming use. And there's a lot of them that are in Waikiki, but it also has them in other places like Kailua. There's actually about 800 or so of them that do have non-conforming use certificates. There they are over here down at the bottom, that they've been grandfathered in since the early 90s. And you can download and you can see that. You can look up the TMK. You can see the address. You can see exactly where that property is. And then you can, decide from there. And then there's all the North Shore ones, Kulima Estates, Turtle Bay. I mean, they're all listed right here. So actually there's 750. Yes, 780. 753 transient vacation units, and there's 32 bed and breakfasts that are formally documented as non-conforming use certificates. So you can see that list right there on the website. Okay. But that's probably a good place to start. Let's see. Oh my goodness, was I not showing that?
No, not on that one.
I wasn't showing it. Yeah, it's right there. That's actually what it looks like right there. Sorry about that, folks. All right, so it's right. So you can actually click on it, non-conforming use certificate, right here in the second paragraph, and then it'll take you over to this PDF, and you can actually see all of them on that PDF. So anyway, but yeah, so that's it. Yeah. All right. Well, I tell you what, let's go over to so I have a special search set up. I call it the Airbnb search, and it's a shortcut in our MLS to see all of our, basically at any one time, all the legal short-term rentals that are for sale right now. And there are, so let's see here. Yeah, there's 227 of them right now. And let's take a look at the map. So there you can see most of them are down here in Waikiki. And then we've got some over here in Ko'olina. Looks like there's 3 that are active in Ko'olina right now. That's, by the way, that's the beautiful Ko'olina area. And then we've got some in Turtle Bay up here, way up on the North Shore up here. And so this is Turtle Bay. Amazing. Turtle Bay Resort is right there. It's they just redid it, by the way, not too long ago. Have you been up there since they redid it, by the way?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful.
We were up there in the area for the parents' anniversary. So
nice.
along the beach and that kind of thing. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So yeah, so you can see, the average price point in the villas kind of back here. Well, the beach villas are going to be like 3-4 million. They've got the Kualima, I forget what they're called. Let's see. We'll pull one up. It's sort of in their townhouse townhouse area. Yeah, Kualima Estates. Yeah, the villas and the estates. The estates are going to be the lower cost ones. Those are going to be like the $1 million ones, sub million. This one's at $950. It was on the market for 2 days. So that's the other thing, is that if you're thinking about buying a property, an Airbnb or a short-term rental in Hawaii, you really need to be prepared and talk with your realtor early. But make sure you got your cash in order, your lending in order, all that stuff, so that the minute, because a lot of times, because these things are such massive cash generators, people really like to they jump on them quick. And because these things literally, some of these up on the North Shore will do, 10, 12 grand a month in income. And, you back out, a $4,000 or $5,000 mortgage. That's $5,000 net cash flow. Obviously you got to pay your cleaners and all that stuff, but it's an excellent investment. So this one was on the market for 2 days and it's already in escrow. But let's take a look at the ones that are actually available. Let me change this to active. So there's 194 that are actually available. And Christy, what do you say? Why don't we look at the high, the median, and the low for this one? So the high side is, in the Ritz-Carlton. Now I will tell you
this one.
Yeah. So this one's listed at 19.5 million. It's the penthouse unit D and E of the Ritz-Carlton residences. I will tell you, the Ritz-Carlton, you see a lot of them. Their average price point in there is about $1 million or so. This one is actually, I know this one has not sold yet. It's since they built it, so they just haven't found a buyer yet for when they completed it.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's beautiful, right? 3 stories inside of there, 3 floors. But look at that. The view. That's probably not even the main kitchen.
Could you imagine getting to live in there?
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? So obviously, this is top of the top. Mm-hmm. One of the things, this one is a legal short-term rental, but one of the challenges with the Ritz-Carlton and the Trump is that they do take significant fees. 50 to 60% is what the fees are that they charge. So if you're going to take debt on these, by the time you add in your mortgage, by the time you add in your fees, even if you actually buy it outright cash and then you come and spend a month in it, it's generally all it's doing is just barely covering its cost. And a lot of times it's actually even at a loss. We've had a lot of buyers that have looked into these. Haven't had anybody that's actually pulled the trigger on these, but this is obviously the high end. Look, it's got a rooftop deck up there. That's nice. Got its own pool, its own jacuzzi, its own outdoor kitchen.
How beautiful.
Yeah. And of course, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah. Just screams luxury.
What's that?
Screaming luxury.
Yeah. So, and this is actually in the second tower. This was the first tower that they built. And then this was the second one that they built at the Ritz-Carlton. And the second one is generally the preferred building. You can see these are, I think, the only two that are available. I don't
Right.
be.
So pretty.
No, they do have actually quite a few penthouses still available. Yeah, so D and E, E, F, A, D, G, C. So, and again, I mean, they're all, let's see here, pretty much 5 million and up is what they're going for. Let's see. Actually, let's see. Let's take a look at their maintenance fees are going to be $4,000 a month. So,
wow.
So you got to back out that, obviously, and that's actually let's take a look at the penthouse, the Big Daddy. This one is going to be $10,400 a month, basically all in. So, I mean, but again, this is a $20 million condo. Yep. Very nice. But that's the high end. So 194 properties. Let's go down and let's just go down to $1 million and see what $1 million is going to get you. So it's also going to be in the Ritz-Carlton, or you know what? Let's go to the Ilokai. We'll go to the Ilokai, which is another building that I like. This one's at $980,000. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. Let's see here. Been on the market for 41 days. One of the challenges. What's that?
Had a price drop.
Yep, it was at 1.050, and they dropped it down to 980. How long ago did they drop it down? They dropped it in actually a week ago. So just a week ago, they dropped it down. Let's see. The Alawai Yacht Harbor is what you're going to see. Let's just take a look at the pictures here. So obviously, the Ilokai it's a condo-tel. So it actually has condos and it has a hotel. It has actually an active hotel in there. One of the challenges with the Ilokai is there's no parking. So it has parking on, public parking on the backside, but they don't have parking and they don't have valet. And so you're basically only going to be Ubering to get here. Now, that being said, the location of the Ilokai is perfect because it is right along the, it's kind of at the front end of Waikiki. But I mean, look at there. There you got the Alawai. I mean, it's got a huge lanai. You can see Makakilo over there. You're going to see the sunset every night in this. There you are looking west. That's the Prince right there, the Prince Waikiki. That's one of the parking lots right there. There's also parking down here along the edge here, but it's paid, it's nightly parking. It's just you have to go down and feed the meter. In fact, some of them actually, they may not actually even let you park overnight. I mean, it's a no parking
situation. Yeah,
it's a no parking situation. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the only drawback for the Ilokai. But if you can get over that, and I think, why you really only need a car, you should just rent a car. Right. I mean, if you need a place, just hire an Uber. It's easy. And then you don't even have to worry about all the other extra expenses that come with a car anyway. Right. But it's got a nice pool deck. Sits right next to the Hilton Hawaiian Villages. That's actually that's their what tower is that? I forget the name of the tower, but that's basically the tower that does the timeshares. Okay. Sorry. So that's kind of a timeshare tower there. But the Ilokai is it's a nice building. I've always loved the Ilokai, and they've actually done a rehab and a refresh on the lobby area. So
they've got some cute shops in there and little ice cream place. I think it's a wedding dress shop in there too.
Okay.
Right around the corner there. It's interesting. Yeah.
This is a classic, the Ilokai Wales.
Pretty.
It's right there in the entryway, and then there's the little roundabout there. But interesting about this building too, and I've mentioned it in the past, but this was the one in the original Hawaii Five-0. If you ever watched that, right in the beginning, whenever they zoomed in on the guy or zoomed out on Jack Lorne or whatever his name was, he was standing on the top of this building. So this has been a very long, it's a traditional, building in Waikiki. But it's a good one, but that's $1 million. It's 980. So it's interesting to see that one drop down. Now, here's the other thing you got to think about is that your fees, it's not that high, 687. So this one is currently managed by the Aqua Aston, which does generate income. But you can also, short-term rentals legally allowed, obviously. And so, $980,000 with a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. It's a little higher entry point, but the numbers definitely work, especially if you're going to come in all cash.
Yes.
And then let's go down to the bottom of the stack and see what the lowest. So now we're looking at the leaseholds, okay, and or the fee available. So let's take a look at the Cohio Village. Oh, oops, my thing moved here. Hold on a second. The Cohio Village is actually it's a decent little spot, but it's got to be. I mean, this is kind of, obviously you can tell the grade of room is a lot different than what we were looking at earlier. But if you have $100,000 in cash and you wanted to drop it in here and you wanted to get a nice little, I don't know, take a look at what airdna.co or data.rabu.com is giving you. And it's going to be a few $1,000s a month return, and, you're going to, so if you think about it, if you put, what is this one? 99,000, you put $100,000 into this one and, see what the average return is going to be on. We have a calculator. Like I said, email us and we can send you the calculator. Okay. And, what this one's going to do, let's see when the lease is, 2033. So the lease expires in 2033. So you got 10 years. So basically, as an investor, if you're going to buy this property, you need to ask yourself, can I get my $99,000 back in 10 years? Because nobody knows what's going to happen to this property in 2033. So, and I know the Cohio Village is specifically one. I think Cohio Village 1, I think, is diluted, but I don't think the Cohio Village 2 is diluted. So they may actually be tearing this one down in 2033.
So it's a possibility then. So the investors really need to think through the options before.
Yeah, and you need to do the numbers on it before you drop $100,000 on it. But that's the bottom of the stack. Let's look at another couple here. The Hawaiian Monarch is a diluted building. So this is actually, this is a decent building as well. This is actually on the, it's on the west end of Waikiki, but it's sort of on the backside. That's the Landmark building right there. It's got a huge amenity deck with a big parking area in this one. And it attracts a lot of investors a lot of times, but this is a leasehold property. So what are they asking for this one? They're asking $225, but it is, the fee is available. And so they're going to be selling the lease, or you're going to be able to buy the lease out. So yeah, it is a leasehold unit. Okay, so it's 2054 is when it ends. And so,
on this one.
Yeah, you got some time on this one, and but it's $74,000 to purchase the fee. So basically, we want to 225 plus 75, so it's a $300,000 unit. So basically, I would advise anyone to spend $300,000 on this one. And let's see what we've got. You're going to have views of the LOI. You got 2 double beds, single bathroom. So it's just a studio. It's got a kitchenette, no stove, which is going to also impact your lending. You're not going to be able to take out a mortgage on this one. So it definitely would have to be cash. Unless, actually, you might be able to do a 15-year with the right lender. Right. It's got the pool. It's got the barbecue area. It's got the exercise room. It's got the it's a little cream pot actually downstairs. It's got this first level. It's got this little restaurant here, and then it's got a little store as well. But that is that's not even, that's still a leasehold, and at $300,000. So the first fee simple is right there is in. This one the fees have already been bought out, but you can see it's worth $300,000 versus $225,000. So the fee's already been bought out, so it's fee simple. And but again, you can start this one and you can invest $300,000 in this building and
that one's been updated. Start
getting some income on it. So, and there's some decent views there too. It's on that front corner, looking over DeRussy Park. or
Right.
Port DeRussy Park. So
It's cute.
yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of some overall, information on the short-term rental here in Hawaii. Hopefully, you've been able to find some value in this. It's a little bit of review of the overall properties as well. But, buywaikiki.com, B-U-Y, waikiki.com is going to be a great place for you to start. And yeah, what do you think, Christy?
I think there's some great options, and I like just giving the education piece to potential investors to Hawaii to kind of let them know what the market looks like, what some of the stipulations are, and knowing that we're experts to reach out and talk to and get information from to start the process.
Perfect. You bet. That's exactly it. Well, thank you all for taking a look at our content today. If you've watched all the way to the end, we really appreciate it. Again, my name is Hal Wilkerson. This is Christy Colbert, and we really would love to have an opportunity to help you. If you see or would like some more information, go to buywaikiki.com, and either one of us can help you out in finding your short-term rental right here in the islands. So. All right. Take care. God bless. Aloha. Until next time, I'm Hal.
And I'm Christy.
We'll see you next time.